How's everybody doing tonight? Alright. So I actually got noticed by someone at WonderCon. Anybody hear about WonderCon, the Anaheim convention, comic book convention? Yeah, I was walking around and someone shouted out Goodman. This is real life, and I was like, turned around and the guy passed me by who knew who I was. I was pretty excited, even though it was a security officer working for the comic book convention. So I've never been before, at least I don't think I have. That's real life. Let's see. I talked to about probably 100 girls that same day, and I really don't think it's not that hard for me to do because I don't really get the results anyway, so just kind of like, going through the motion, but also I don't really feel threatened by them. A lot of guys say, oh, she's so beautiful, I can't talk to her. Well, I only go for women that are less intelligent than me, so I don't have to worry about feeling inferior at all. I go for the ones that wear the least amount of clothing also. That's the key, that's the ticker. Like if they're walking around in a French maid outfit, that's the one. If they look like they could be a college professor, maybe a friend down the line, but not, have a legitimate conversation in the library, but not to try to wine and dine and flirt with. So yeah, that's real life too. But I don't really get the results, because I'm not a bad boy and I'm not rich and famous. Like if you saw how well the Clippers owner did with all the ladies, had he been just working at Home Depot, picking up trash, in the lumberyard area, he probably wouldn't have the same kind of high quality Charlie Sheen ex-girlfriends that he was getting. And so, when you try to go for not those same girls, but that same genre, as a nerdy guy, San Diego, LA, Oakland, no matter where I live, Long Beach, you're still not cool enough or rich enough or violent enough or abusive enough to actually get anywhere with them. So that's real life too. But I do talk to them. Sometimes I feel worried. I worry that I might hurt their feelings if I don't, just because she's wearing a leather corset or whatever, I might hurt her feelings because I'm not really that interested in her. And I know they go to my websites all the time. There's the thing called analytics that tracks all that stuff. So it's almost guaranteed in the book. You can just stamp it there's going to be death and taxes you can count on. Even an Aboriginal tribe in New Guinea or something, they're still going to have death and taxes. You might have to give away your ancestral bones or something, or your part of your farm, but there's still going to be death, there's still going to be taxes. With supermodels on Facebook or YouTube, if their face is missing, after say, hey, I'm excited about the NBA Finals, what team are you rooting for? And their face is missing, you can no longer talk to this user. Okay, now I know who's going to be on the website the next few months. It's almost like, I don't know. So, I pay attention to who's overcompensating. That's the first thing I look for. Not even looks. I tell people that are model photographers, get your head out of the, I wouldn't say ass, but get your head out of the sand, buddy. It's not about how pretty or symmetrical her face is. It's how insecure she is, how vulnerable she is, and how relatable she is to most of the guys looking at the pictures in the first place. You think that overweight guy with the San Francisco 49ers jersey who hasn't thrown a football since high school, can barely get himself out the car door, really relates to a woman who's intellectually his equal? No, he's going to relate to the one who's like a big kid, because he's kind of like a big kid himself. He covers himself to protect himself, either with beard or overweight of fatty tissue. So that's I heard that from someone who's overweight once, that they most women in libraries who are overweight are that way because to not let people get near them, almost like a barrier. That's the self barrier, and that's real life. That's one of my jokes. I can't write that stuff up. There's no kids tonight. Yeah, I usually do kids jokes, but then it turns out when I tell my kids jokes to adults, they're the ones that laugh. The kids only laugh if the parents laugh. And I told some of these kid jokes I do to some adults in an art show last night, and they said, I understand why the kids don't laugh and the adults do. She was trying to say that it wasn't very funny. She said she knew me from somewhere, so I don't know. But she wasn't a supermodel, so I don't know how I knew her. To bring back to the photographers, I'll tell them, the girl's a 10, blah, blah, blah. She's got perfect symmetry. We just have her sitting there posing like she has no life. That's why most guys don't look at Playboy magazine. If I would look at Playboy magazine, I'd actually look at it for the articles. And I'm not just saying that as a cliche or a comedian. If I was to buy a back issue, I'd want to hear the one where John Wayne went off on minorities, or where they're talking about Nixon in an interview, whatever. I could care less about someone who looks airbrushed and almost like a statue. I don't walk up to the mall and look at the mannequins and try to ask for their number or start a conversation. I'm not quite there yet. But I do know that the best photographers, whether the girls had had 5, 10 surgeries or just one, there's the range. I tell them, you got it going on because you picked out exactly what the guy can relate to. He's sitting at home not feeling very good about himself. She's in the camera, looking at the camera very sexy, but you can tell no matter how much makeup she has on, she still doesn't feel very good about herself, and some of the guys like that. And also, I don't like shy girls. If a girl's like beautiful at the beach, and I walk up to her and she's playing her cell phone, it's like, oh, what are you listening to? Or are you texting? What phone is that? Just to start a conversation. And she says, oh, nothing, it's just the phone, and walks away. It's like, nah, not for me. I do all the talking anyway. She would just probably drug me, and then, instead of dating me, just leave the country. This guy talks too much, I can't do that. But I like scrappy girls, ones who, they often come with baggage. I'm not talking about the kind you buy at Nordstrom's when it's half off winter sale. I'm talking about, baggage that most guys who are comedians can relate to, of stuff going on in themselves in the past that's kind of dark. And yeah, that's the first thing I look for. So when I walk up to girls at WonderCon or Comic-Con or Auto Show, I don't get anywhere, and I don't say these things directly to them at the time, but sometimes in email I'll say, the reason you're a popular model, isn't because you're more beautiful than Kim Kardashian, or you've had less surgeries or more surgeries. It's because you're insecure and you're vulnerable, and that's what guys like. And then, sometimes they won't delete you for that. Sometimes they'll ignore you, and then 2 years later they're following you on, Instagram or something. So, you catch them in the act. It's kind of like a dog. It's kind of like dealing. I taught art to kids for a while. It's kind of like working with animals or with kids. I'm really good with kids and animals and old people. It's kind of like that, where if the dog ate your shoe, you spank the dog, to teach it not to tear up your house as a puppy, or scold it like this, don't pee on the sofa. And eventually you'll learn, but then it'll get very flustered right away, and then you'll feel terrible, and they'll feel terrible, feel worthless. So it goes and hides in the corner, and you pretend not to see it on purpose. That same thing we just do with girls, so. Yeah, I actually got played by another book collector. I sell old comic books, old books. I got played by another book collector. He gave me a sob story about how I gave him probably about $600 worth of comics for $135, so I still made a profit. But then the guy, I was pretty upset that as a book scout, he told me he was going to go to his nephew in Chicago, that he's kind of a nerd, but is in a rock band, plays video games with his friends, doesn't get out much. He's the rock and roll culture in the Chicago music scene. He would love these old comics I had. I bought it. I sold to him for a really great price. And he was kind of haggling, well, the condition's not that great. Then I look up online where I met him in the first place on Craigslist ads for comics, and it said, great condition comics, $300. And I was like, now it's just for one issue. And I was like, oh, and he bought 13 of them. So, he didn't send a single one to his nephew. And then he sent me a text, oh, the nephew, laugh out loud, doesn't need a few of them, but he loves all the rest. And every single issue he listed at $70 more. Again, as a seller or a hustler, I don't care if he makes a profit. If he's going to say to me, I only pay 10%, 30%. Usually book scouts get 30 to 35% of legitimate dealers' inventory. If you had a Transformers book worth $10, they pay you like $3 or something like that. But when they just lie to you about a story that's so elaborate, I'm kind of honored that he took the time to make that story for me. I feel kind of cherished. At the same time, I would have sold it to him for the same price had he just said, hey, I'm just going to flip it to some other collector. So, and he's not even good looking or a supermodel at all. I'm like, Brad Pitt compared to the guy. So go figure. Actually, the hottest girl at WonderCon wasn't at the convention in leather underwear or whatever it was. It was actually some girl on the train. And the reason, I think I got the girl I sat next to, the college girl who I talked to for 2 hours, a little upset when the train ride ended. I ended up in Anaheim, where I got off. And because I talked to her, this nice, intelligent girl, again, I'm not going to be interested outside of a sister level. And then I see the girl walk on the train, all the tattoos, earrings, and shaved haircut, like mohawk, but long hair. I was like, and then, and she wasn't wearing any underwear or bra underneath her white dress. You could see everything. It's like, okay, that's the one I have to talk to. She had her headphones in. You just go like this and start talking. And she was interested in me, but by the time I picked that up, it said Amtrak, next station stop Anaheim, real life. And then so I had to quickly just talk to her. So. But yeah, I know how to pick them out. My mom wouldn't agree with that, but we're from a dysfunctional family, so I know exactly what to look for. And it would fit right in. dysfunctional people would just, kind of melt right in, like, cooking butter on a pan or the stove with a dysfunctional family. I think I'm losing you guys on that. Let me just do some quick jokes real fast and I'll get out of here. These ones I actually wrote, so they're probably not real life. Okay, here we go. I got to the strip bar, and I knew it was a bad night when the DJ announced, "Coming to the stage, everybody, the lovely Avocado." And the club did not have any girls with stripper names like Diamond, Sweetheart, Cherry, Candy, but they did have a really sexy black girl named Hot Fudge, so I guess I went out that night. I told a tasteless joke in McDonald's last week, and everyone all got it, and they all understood, and they all laughed really hard. I like that one, okay. I don't care what you guys think. There's no kids, okay. I had to go for an audition for a porn film, and I was very nervous. But after one take, the director told me, "Don't worry, you got the part, you totally blew everyone away." Thanks everybody, this is Brent Goodman.